Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. A quick trigger warning before we begin. The next story touches on the subject of losing a child, so if that is something that is sensitive to you, you might want to skip the story. Now let's get started. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user Mistletoe Knife. Am I the a-hole for wanting my ex-husband to help me pack up our late daughter's bedroom instead of my current partner? I am a 33-year-old woman who 6 years ago lost my 2-year-old daughter to leukemia. My husband and I tried to make things work, but the grief of losing her and the emotions at the time made our relationship unsalvageable, and a year after her death, we divorced. I kept her room as it was, as I liked to go there sometimes to sit and remember her and be around her things, minus the few keepsakes her father took with him when we divorced so he could remember her too. A while after we divorced, I met my current partner, and now 3 years into our relationship, I am 29 weeks pregnant with a little boy. I am equally excited and terrified about this, as I'm so scared of going through that kind of pain again. I live in a 2-bedroom home, so obviously my daughter's room needs to be packed up, and I accepted that, though it wasn't easy. My partner offered to help me do so, and I told him if he wanted to help, it'd be appreciated, but that I'd also asked my ex-husband to help me so we could decide together what we each wanted to keep, donate, or toss. This upset my partner, as he doesn't like the idea of my ex-husband being around for such a long time, and that since he is my partner, I should have asked only him, and told me I could just put aside a few random things for my ex. I tried to explain to him that my daughter was also my ex-husband's daughter, so he had a right to be there for this, and reminded him that if he wanted to help, he could of course be there too. He doesn't want to be around my ex-husband, however, so denied this and has been upset with me all night over this. Is it truly that unreasonable that I'd ask my ex-husband to be a part of this? I think I may be the a-hole because I asked my ex-husband to help me pack up our late daughter's room, telling my current partner he could be there for it too. He wants it to be only him, as he doesn't want my ex around me for such a lengthy time. So, am I the a-hole? OP, first of all, I am so sorry that your ex-husband and you, and anyone really, has had to go through such a horrible thing. I honestly can't imagine the pain. And it's because of this that I believe that you're not the a-hole. Your partner is being incredibly selfish. I mean, you must be a pretty crappy human being if you can't get over your petty jealousy to let a grieving father say one last goodbye to his daughter. I don't know if it's a red flag for you, but it's something that would give me pause regarding keeping that man in my life. In any case, it's your decision in the end, and your partner's childish behavior shouldn't be what determines if your ex-husband can be there or not. And what about you guys? What do you think, or what is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. The Mighty Whitey says, not the a-hole. So not the a-hole. I'm married to a woman that had children prior to our marriage. I have a stepson and stepdaughter. I absolutely despise her ex-husband, and he despises me. Neither of us has one single positive thing to say about the other, and we are just cordial enough to be in the same room during events. Graduations, get-togethers, family stuff, you know? Because we are adults, but the interaction ends there. There is absolutely no way under these circumstances that I would even begin to express anything but support and understanding. This is something so unbearably sad and traumatizing that I question that he is even worth being married to if this was his response. As the new husband, I'd be grateful and flattered that I was invited to participate in it. I'd truly be reevaluating my relationship with this dude if this is the level of immaturity you're dealing with. And OP responds, we're not married. I should have put that in the post. He's just my partner. Frankly, given my past, I'm not very open to the idea of marriage in the future again. I'm glad you and your wife's ex-husband are able to be cordial enough to be in the same room for family things like that, as that's honestly all you need. Nitz says, grief is what it is, not the a-hole. Your current partner needs to get a grip and stay out of the way. Supportive, but let you have the space to finish this task. He needs to not be jealous of your ex. If there is a reason to be jealous, not letting him help won't kill the reason. If there is no reason, letting him help won't make one. And OP responds, I offered to let him help despite favoring the idea of it being just me and my ex as a final sort of goodbye, but he doesn't want to help if my ex-husband is there. Delusional Sack says, not the a-hole. Your current partner is really going to let his own insecurities stop a father from seeing his deceased daughter's room and possessions one last time? That's pathetic. If anyone should be upset, it's you. Your partner is being an a-hole by not wanting to give your ex-husband the basic respect that any good parent deserves in being able to say goodbye to their child one last time. I bet he would want that same courtesy if he was in your ex-husband's position, God forbid. And OP responds, honestly, I'm devastated by his reaction, but I was worried maybe I'm too close to this situation to see things fairly. OP's edit. Just realized the title could be a little confusing. Yes, I told my partner he could help out, but truthfully, I'd rather do it just with my ex-husband, as we are her parents, hence the wanting it to be my ex. Additional information from OP's comments. My ex-husband is a wonderful man. The pain of losing our daughter and how raw we were both emotionally, and the fact that when we looked at each other we just saw her, it made us unable to remain together. It's apparently a common thing after a loss of a child, according to the therapist I saw for a while following all of this. My ex-husband was aware of the fact her room was unchanged and happy with it, and before my current partner moved in, he'd sometimes want to come to sit in her room. My partner is living with me as it seemed the best choice when we realized I was pregnant. It was honestly very much an accident, as I have been uncertain about children in the future given the past. But the second I learned I was pregnant, I never doubted that I'd carry the pregnancy out, scared as I am. However, his name is not on anything, and it's a house I owned before I even met my ex-husband, as my grandparents left it to me. Alright, well, the community absolutely agrees that OP is not the a-hole, and they even questioned their relationship with the actual partner. So now with all that and the additional context that we got from other responses, let's move on with the update to see what happened next. My partner did not back up on his displeasure over my ex-husband coming round to help pack up our late daughter's bedroom, and he said some very hurtful things regarding me, my ex-husband, and my late daughter that I will not post here as I'd probably get my post removed. He then told me if I didn't call off my ex-husband coming round for this, he'd break up with me as he wouldn't put up with it. Clearly thinking I'd back down on this as I wouldn't want to be a single parent, and he seemed so effing smug as he made this threat. By this point, I was already seeing red. He could insult me all he wanted, but the things he said about my daughter, I told him to get the F out of my house and to never come back then, and kicked him out, throwing his stuff after him in a fit of rage. Nothing breakable, don't worry. And that was that. I then spent the day crying over all of this. A few days later, my ex-husband came around and we packed up our daughter's room, and during it, he asked me if my partner was around. I explained the situation to him and he was so pissed off on my behalf, and he spent the rest of the afternoon comforting me about it. He then would call me every day to check if I needed anything or help with anything, as I'm starting to get less agile and began to spend more time around to help out. The last 2 nights he has actually been sleeping on my sofa in case I need anything during the night, as I went into labor with our daughter a few weeks further along than I am right now, and he keeps fretting about what if that happens while I'm alone. Last night he asked me if I'd consider going out for something to eat with him to see about possibly restarting things. No pressure, just to test the waters, and I agreed, as having him around so much and being so helpful, it reminded me of all of our good times and why I fell in love with him in the first place. We are taking it slowly, one day at a time. Ironic that my ex-partner's jealousy and actions may have caused exactly what he wanted to avoid. On the subject of my ex-partner, he has not been around since or called me, and I'm getting a lawyer involved to check what I should do in regards to our son moving forward. It was an easy split as we weren't married. The house is in my name and always has been, and he'd only moved in after I got pregnant by accident. Well, OP, with the additional information you gave us on your ex-partner, it's a good thing you got rid of him. The way he reacted with the insults and everything, like you say, he can say whatever he wants to you, you can take it. But talking, or even more so, insulting your late daughter, well, that's a deal breaker in my book. Anyways, like I do sometimes, I go digging in the comment section to see if there's more information. And in this one, OP left a lot of information in the comments to the update. So I've curated for you an extended update. Now let's finish off with that. Do you want to know exactly what he said? He said I needed to focus on my son and put my daughter in the past, as my son wouldn't exist without her death. That once her room was packed up, he wanted to see and hear nothing more about her, that my future was better now and he'd not tolerate me dwelling on the past, except he put it much less politely. Frankly, it's gross how my ex-partner insulted not only me and my ex-husband, but said insulting and disgusting things about my late daughter. Yes, the relationship with him is totally dead, as he implied it was a good thing that my daughter died, so F him. I am not hopping to a stranger. This is a man I was friends with both before and after the divorce, who I was married to for years. It may look like it's cheating, but I do not need to explain myself to anyone, least of all my now ex-partner. This never would have happened without him pushing and pushing. I'm many things, but I'm not a cheater. Of course, it's very easy to fall back with my ex-husband, as we didn't break up because we fell out of love. We went through a tragic and horrific thing. Now, I could have understood that having my ex-husband help clear out our daughter's room made my ex-partner uncomfortable. I mean, this was a man I was married to and loved, who I only broke up with over incredible grief and trauma, not because we fell out of love, but how my ex-partner handled it is what was the final nail in our relationship, as I'd have never cheated on him. Also, it was not his daughter. I offered to let him be there if it made him more comfortable, despite feeling it should be just me and my daughter's father. He didn't want my ex-husband there at all, wanted to pack it up with me, and we'd just set aside a few random trinkets from her room for my ex-husband. In any case, I am getting lawyers involved in regards to my ex-partner. He has rights that I won't deny, but he'll only get the minimum and nothing to do with me. I won't deny him access to our son, but it's going to be on my terms after what he said about my daughter. I have no desire to get child support from him. I make more than enough money myself, and I want as little to do with him as possible, so that shouldn't be a problem. I've already been to hell when I lost my daughter, and he thought he could scare me into staying with him over petty threats like that. Nothing can be harder than what I've already been through. It just shows how little he knew me if he thought I'd cave to that. Now, when my ex-husband asked if I'd be willing to have a meal and retry things slowly, I brought up the pregnancy and if that complicated things for him. He told me he'd be unable to do anything but love my son because he is our daughter's brother and my son. However, we're hardly getting remarried or jumping right into serious dating. There is a lot of raw emotions and I have my son to consider now. We are not fully restarting, not yet and not anytime soon. We're having dinner eventually and perhaps working through things slowly. We spent days reconnecting because he was there to help me out after I kicked my ex-partner out for what he said. Also, I'm aware things don't always end up how we dream. Better than most, I think. We're going slowly and he isn't jumping into the role of dad straight out of the gate. It's going to be a communication of thoughts and feelings the entire time. I'm not going to be rushing into a serious relationship or marriage or anything of the like for the simple fact that it's very soon and I have my son to consider, and the fact emotions and hormones are strong right now. I'll finalize with a little confession. I knew I was in trouble when I walked downstairs yesterday morning and found he'd made apple pancakes for breakfast for us both. They were my major craving when I was pregnant with our daughter, and I've been craving them with my boy too. Well, OP, all I have to say is that I think you're being very responsible. Whether you and your ex end up together or not, it doesn't really matter at this point because you're focused on your son and that's the best thing you can do. So congratulations on that and the best to the both of you in the future. Again, regardless of if you end up together or not. Take care, OP. And now we move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user oldman712. Sorry, I deleted all the files you told me to delete. My job was to design and write software prototypes for individual high-value customers. If they liked it well enough, then a real software engineering team would build the real product. Occasionally, I would run the prototype for a few months while the customer evaluated if they wanted to buy the real project. Now, these prototypes are not a lot of code, but they do run with a lot of data, even compressed. It can be a terabyte or more. Having done this work for years, I've accumulated a small disk farm of past projects, which can be very useful when a customer asks for something just like we did last year, but with a small change or two. The company resisted buying hard drives for this, but it saves me so much time, I ended up buying 1 or 2 a year myself until I accumulated about 10 of them. A figure over $1,000 worth of external drives. Then, unexpectedly, management changes. New management thinks they can replace an old software guy with a cheaper new software grad and I am laid off, with 2 weeks to train my replacement. Yes, it's blatant age discrimination, but impossible to fight, so I just went for a graceful transition to my next job. Except I have $1,000 of personal disk drives with old customer data on them. The company insists that no employees may take any company data off premises and all files must be deleted. I don't want to just leave the drives at the company, but they insist I must delete all data before taking them home. So I offer that they can either buy them from me or that I will eventually use them for something else, but I can leave the data on them in case someone needs it. Not good enough. The new manager insists I must delete all data and all backups before I remove the drives. Okay, that's what I do. 6 months later, I get a series of desperate phone calls. The new software grad has been unable to build any new prototypes. Old customers are calling to get old prototypes updated, and new software grad has no idea how to do that. Executive BP is calling to ask what would it take to bring me back to do my old job. Sorry, I've got a new job now, and even if I didn't, I cannot just modify the old prototype because you insisted I delete all old copies of it. If I did want to modify it, I'd first have to recreate it from scratch, and that old series of 6 months apart data we collected is gone for good, no matter what. Sorry, you screwed yourselves exactly as I told you would happen. Hope whatever you saved by hiring a new grad to replace an actual experienced programmer was worth it. Well, they wanted you to delete the files before you took your drives and they didn't want to buy them, so I guess they had it coming. Good for you, OP. Congratulations on the new job. Thanks for sharing and take care. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.